Welcome back to Gerodynamics. Okay, so what issue should we do next in this Who Am I Politically, this little set of videos? Um, Taxes are a big issue right now. Taxes. Okay, so I am highly involved. I'm not going to say what I do for a living, but I am highly involved in the tax industry in some way. I don't know if people can maybe figure it out, but I am involved in the tax industry. Um, the, uh, th- Currently, what's being debated is removing the Internal Revenue Service, getting rid of it for the most part, and moving to a national sales tax. Obviously, that's not going to happen. That's not going to pass the way that the House and the Senate are set up right now, and obviously Biden wouldn't sign that. And so I think that's probably why they're pushing for it right now, Republicans, because if they had really wanted to do something similar to that, wouldn't they have tried it in the first 2 years of Trump's um, presidency? No, what they did during the first 2 years was the tax cuts. I was a strong supporter of the tax cuts. I do think that they worked. I think that they were a good step, but they didn't do enough. Um, I think that the what they're proposing right now is not the perfect solution, but it's a better solution. I think that taxes, revenue in general, that the federal government really needs to be limiting its spending anyways, but that they do need to generate revenue, especially for as long as they have all this spending that they're doing. And generating revenue should be something that is a voluntary system, as voluntary as it can possibly be. You can't call the current tax system voluntary. Some people try. It is not. If you do not pay your taxes, you are committing a crime. Typically speaking, that means that you're going to be forced to pay your taxes, that you were required to pay, not voluntary. Yeah, it's not a voluntary system. Some people go to jail for not paying their taxes. That's not common, but it does happen. And so, yeah, it's a crime. It's not voluntary to pay taxes under the current system. The income tax is not a voluntary tax. If they automatically take it from your paychecks, it's not a voluntary tax. If it's a system where the government can punish you, can force you to do something or punish you for not doing it, it's not voluntary. So the sales tax, how is that voluntary? Well, it's a little bit of a gray area because you could just not buy the thing, right? So technically speaking, it is voluntary. Um, some people say, well, you could just not work, and so the income tax is voluntary. That's a little harder to swallow, a little harder pill to swallow than not buying something. I don't think that the sales tax should be on everything, so keep that in mind. That's part of why this plan is not the best plan. Um, Food. So technically, you could grow your own food, so you don't have to pay sales tax on food. But honestly, I do not believe that the national sales tax should be applied to groceries. Groceries. Fast food, that's a different story. Prepared meals, that's a different story. If the national sales tax exempted something like groceries, then I think we would have a lot less pushback on it, because the national sales tax is imposed across the board, right? From our poorest to our richest. And if you are rich, you are going to buy more stuff. So you're going to pay more in sales tax. So even that is technically a progressive system. People say, well, it's not progressive. They don't have to pay more for the things they buy. Sure, that's true. They don't have to pay more when they purchase their car. They pay the same percentage, but they went out and maybe they bought a $300,000 car, and I'm just trying to buy a $20,000 car. So they pay more, right? They go out and they buy 5 cars. They pay more. It's a voluntary system in that aspect. Some things are requirements to buy, though, and so maybe we could consider not implementing the tax, the sales tax on those items. That's something we could discuss. But I think a sales tax is the right direction to go in. You implement taxes on things that people have to choose to do or purchase. It could be on different services. Well, I don't have to do this thing, but if I want to, there's this tax that I pay, and that helps to raise revenue to fund the government. That sort of thing. These voluntary measures, or even better, you could have the government involved in some sort of revenue generating practices. Do we want the government to be a business? No, they'd be a terrible business. But, there are things out there that a government could do. I know one that's slightly controversial is like a government lottery system. Is that a tax on poor people? Yeah. That's where a lot of the conflict comes in, is the people who would be buying these lottery tickets are poor individuals, not the people who already have money, and so they would be funding the government at a higher level. Yes, that is something that would happen, but it would be their choice. They would not have to buy that lottery ticket. They would not have to go out and try to fund the government through this game that they would like to play. The government could provide those types of services. The government could be in the business of entertainment. The government could be in the business of providing services. Those are things that the government could do to raise revenue. These are just general ideas. Obviously, there are issues with all of them, but the voluntary aspect of it is what I'm more focused on. I do not believe you should be forced to fund the government, because maybe you morally disagree with war. Maybe you morally disagree with where the money is being spent. Right? Well, if you morally disagree with where the money is being spent, you could choose to exempt yourself. Currently, we do have a small amount of that. I do believe people like the Amish, I believe, are allowed to live their existence without paying into this system because they aren't working in the traditional sense, and they have a religious exemption. I believe. I could be mistaken on that. I think maybe some of their activities are probably taxed. But anyways, and that should be something that people should be able to opt out of. They should be able to find a way to make the revenue generating system a voluntary system where people who object to this or that about the government would not have to fund it if they chose. They could go out, they could grow their own food, they can produce their own energy. Maybe they go out and they start an actual commune. Hey, communists, go out and start your own commune. Don't force your commune on me. Go out and start your own, where everybody gets together and they grow their own foods, and they have a windmill that provides their electricity, and and everybody has an agreement about how everybody has to put into the collective, and then everybody takes an equal portion. That could work on a smaller level. It doesn't work on a large federal level, and that's the voluntary aspect of it. You could get away from paying taxes and just focus on your commune. So that's kind of my perspective on taxes. The way the system is currently set up, a sales tax would be tough. I don't think it's going to pass. Another option that has been thrown around is a flat tax. I get that flat taxes are also not progressive taxes, and in the sense that they don't have to pay a bigger percentage if they have more income, but they still pay more in taxes because again they have a higher income. It could be a system where we go in and we cut out all those special loopholes that everybody's so concerned that Donald Trump didn't pay enough taxes, or that Elon Musk didn't pay enough in taxes, even though they pay more taxes than most other people, right? But they didn't pay a big enough percentage. They didn't pay their fair share. You know why a lot of these companies and why a lot of these wealthy individuals don't pay as much as you think they should? Because of your tax system. They use the rules that you build into the tax system to get out of paying the taxes. It's that simple. They aren't cheating. As much as you want to say they're cheating, they're not cheating for the most part. There are some people that cheat on their taxes. There are some wealthy people that cheat on their taxes. Most wealthy people just do it legally. They just do all of it by the book. They find all the best ways to get out of taxes, and that's how they get out of paying their quote-unquote fair share. You'd be surprised, a lot of people who actually cheat on their taxes are lower income people trying to get credits, trying to get the larger refund than they paid in taxes, right? So not trying to get some of their tax money back. They didn't pay any taxes, or they paid a low amount of taxes and they've got credits that are refundable, causing them to get more back than they paid in. That's where you're going to see most of your tax cheating, the fraud. And that's what the IRS goes after. And so, when people say, hey, they just hired 80,000 new IRS employees, to go after all the wealthy individuals. Well, let's put that in a little bit of perspective. Yes, not all of those 80,000 new IRS employees are agents, revenue agents. They're not all going after tax debt, or they're not all going after, examining people's tax returns. Some of them are customer service. Some of them are, going to be in other aspects of the IRS that, have been, kind of floundering in this period of cutting and COVID and all those sorts of things, right? The IRS has their customer services dropped off considerably. Hey, there's my puppy. This guy is Bruce. Bruce doesn't pay any taxes, and he lives wonderfully. So, a lot of those, but a lot of the people being hired by the IRS will be going after people who cheat on their taxes. And I'm sorry to break it to you, but a lot of those, the vast majority, will not be going after millionaires and billionaires. They will be going after people who cheat on the earned income credit, the additional child tax credit, the education credit, all these credits that are refundable that people usually of lower income levels go after. That's what they will be going after. They will also be going after people who are getting 1099s and they're earning money by people making Venmo payments to them and PayPal payments to them, and they're selling their stuff on Etsy, or they're driving people through Uber and Lyft. Those are the people that they're going to go after, not the rich and wealthy people who have 1,000 Bruces. They're going to go after me, and I only have one Bruce. So anyways, I would like to see a lot more of a get down here. I'm gonna pause real quick. It was cute at first, and then it was gross. So I had to have him go sit down. I love my dog, but yeah, don't hack in my face in the video. So anyways, so I'm very passionate about the issue of taxes. I think that there are better ways to go about generating revenue, more, ways that are more voluntary, that I think would be a better route. But as of right now, we're looking at an income tax, and I think the income tax, the better way would be to simplify the system, get rid of all of the deductions, and have a flat tax where everybody has to pay the same amount, regardless of what type of income it is. What if they did that? What if they said, hey, no matter what type of income you have, whether it's you have an employer, or you sell stuff, you have your own business, you invest your money into the stock market, and you cash out. No matter what revenue you have coming in, rather than just income, like I work for an employer income, it's all taxed at 10%, 15%, right? And there's no loopholes, there's no deductions, there's no anything. It's just, I earned $100,000, I paid $10,000. I don't have to get an accountant. I don't have to worry about it, unless I think that, hey, I didn't earn $100,000. I only earned $50,000, and then in that case, you may need some, an ability to challenge the amount of taxes that you paid, that sort of thing. But other than that, there shouldn't be any need for the IRS to say, hey, this person didn't pay their fair share in taxes, or this person, is cheating on their taxes. It should just be a system where someone can say, hey, I think you took too much money from me for this reason or that reason, and maybe you can explain it, right? Simplify the system that way, revenue will go up. And then people won't have to spend so much time and money on their taxes and finding loopholes and, putting stuff into this deduction or that deduction. I think that's a better system. And it's a system that is fair. That's why it's called the fair tax. So that, I think, is the best in the interim, as opposed to like a sales tax. A sales tax more extreme. You need a little bit more thought put into it, Republicans, than to just say, hey, 23% on your groceries when inflation is going crazy. Inflation, taxes, poor people. Come on. Think it through. All right, everybody. I know I'm going to do more videos on taxes. This was a long one. I loved it. All right, everybody. Take care. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Have a good day.